Godzilla?
Godzilla, again, I kind of didn't see the movie.
Brunch.
Hit it, boys! Ooh, boy. I've been looking forward to this one for longer than a week, probably. In my I knew I loved you before I met you kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, I've had this episode circled.
Fully because of Ma, right?
We have so much, not to be like, hey, we got a loaded show for you tonight. We got from Ma, we got Octavia Spencer from Rocketman. You guys seeing this? We got Aidan Gillen. Aidan Gillen's gonna be here. That's gonna be really cool.
Who's Aidan Gillen?
Is he the guy from? Right? Aidan Gillen. He plays. Who does he play? Oh no, Aidan. I'm confusing Aidan Gillen. Aidan Gillen is in Bohemian Rhapsody playing John Reed. Tough year for John Reed. A lot of movies coming out where people are like, hey, John Reed's either really soft or he's a huge asshole.
Yep. So, Aidan Gillen's the guy from The Wire, right? He plays Carcetti?
I think. And there's him and there's somebody that looks just like him. And one of them is in, like, Lord of the Rings, I think. Not Lord of the Rings. What's your stupid one?
Game of Thrones?
The one that only you like. Yeah, that one.
He's also in that show. So I think it's all the same guy.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, man, I've been getting him confused with the other guy forever. He's been... Anyway, we'll talk to Aidan about that. That'll be a... hey, so people get you confused for yourself sometimes. What's that like?
That guy in the Game of Thrones really looks like you. You ever meet that guy?
Hey, yeah. Ever go to an audition?
Next on Ira and the Douche.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Ever go to an audition? You walk in, you see that guy from Game of Thrones is sitting there. You're like, what are you doing here? Come on, man. This is again the only ruin in this town. One of us.
Yeah, so we do have a packed show. We've got we're talking Ma. We're talking. We actually saw 3 movies between the three of us.
3 movies.
The 3 of us. Yes.
No, between both of us.
No, that's why I said it. 3 movies between the 3 of us. And I don't know why I said the 3 of us, but
this is
the
an
listener
map
too.
episode so
Yes.
far. We're counting 1 guy as 2 guys,
Yep.
2 guys as 3 guys.
We saw Ma, Godzilla, and Rocketman.
Yes, and man, I got thoughts. I got big thoughts on all 3. Actually, in order. I got big thoughts on 2 of them, and then 1 big thought on the 3rd one. Godzilla, really, there's 1 main takeaway. But which should we jump in for? I do have a little story before we get into the movies.
Okay. Well, Ma's definitely going to be, I feel like, the headliner here.
Ma's the ultimate brunch movie.
So we'll save that one for last.
Ooh.
And we'll do Godzilla first because I think that'll be somewhat quick.
Okay.
And then we'll get into Rocketman. But let's hear this story first.
This was a classic. The whole time it was happening, I was like, get me to the next episode of Brunch. Maybe I'm overselling it, but it was just like a funny, for the first time in a while, this is a funny, ridiculous thing that's happening to me, and I can't wait to discuss it. Long story short, had a dealing with an underage person at a bar.
Ooh.
I didn't know that really happens.
It does.
Really?
In this climate, it's a very problematic issue.
Okay, so
it's a rising issue
epidemic?
with an epidemic with millennials.
With millennials, so us or
Yes, yeah.
the generation that we
I
have
was-
to deal with.
Yes.
Yeah. Are millennials ruining kids sneaking into bars?
Millennials ruining underage drinking for children.
What's the generation after this? I've asked this a million
Generation
times.
X.
Generation X. Ugh.
or something? I think.
I got to carry the tradition of shitting on the generation after me and acting like they're the problem.
Yes.
'Cause that is something that every other generation has been doing for a while. So we're in a bar. Someone comes up to us, and I'm not with anybody young. We are all adults. There's like
Very on
husbands
brand
and
for
wives
this.
in
By the way,
mix.
very on brand for this episode because Ma surrounds underage drinking.
That is true.
Yeah.
Adults just interacting with children. Except here was the twist here. This time, the adults didn't want to be around the children. Ma, very different. So a girl comes over to our table, And again, this is like we're old people, all in our 30s, husbands, wives, whole shebang. She walks over and she says, "Hey, I have a question. When you were in school, didn't you think there were 4 oceans?" And we were like, "Yes, because there are." And she was like, "Well, there are 5, and I can't think of the 5th. It's driving me nuts." And I was like, "Well, there's only 4, so that's probably your issue." And we humored her. We were like, "All right, Indian, Pacific,
Atlantic,
and
Arctic."
There you go. And she was like, no. Like there's, I'm in school right now, and there are 5, and I can't think of the 5th. And I was like, maybe they made Pluto an ocean that needed something to do, but there are 4, and we were all like in agreement. Like there are 4.
Good for you. Good for you guys. Because if somebody said that to me, I would be like, yeah, maybe there's a 5th. I don't know. I'm so far removed from ever thinking about that.
I didn't know if this was an underage person, but I was like, this is a person who's probably not as smart as us, and we're not very smart. So she kept talking to us, and we were like, does she have a group and everything? And then we saw that she had a group, and we were like, okay, so she's at least like safe.
Right.
Whatever. And then after a while, I like zone out of this. I quit this conversation immediately. The Bruins were on. I was watching it. I was also very sober. I was nursing 1 drink, and I was like, I don't feel like interacting with this person.
Okay.
And then eventually she says, yeah, so that whole ocean thing was a trick. I learned it from a Barstool podcast.
Ooh.
And I was like, okay, what was the...
What's the end game here?
What's the trick? And she was like, oh, I get one of you guys to buy me a drink. And we were like, oh no, none of us are interested in anything. And again, like there's like this is just like a bunch of husbands and wives, and no, thank you. Have a great time. And she was like, I guarantee you, I'm gonna get one of you guys to buy me a drink. And we were like, all right, like please like
take voice.
Okay,
good luck.
And then she was like, it's just that guys play a lot of games, and sometimes you got to play the game back. And that's I
don't hate that line.
I agreed with her.
Yeah.
And this is when I re-entered the conversation. I was like, definitely agree with that statement. But is there like a scam going on where guys are tricking young girls into buying them drinks? Because that's what you're doing.
Right.
Here.
Yeah. Guys play games, but they end up losing money.
Right. So then she began.
So she's playing games that end up losing guys money.
So yeah. Then she targeted one of my friends, and was like, "What? You don't have enough money to buy a drink?" And my friend, who had said a million times, "Hi, I'm a married person with a child. Please talk to somebody else." Was like, no, I don't have money because I am married with a child. Is there anything else you can be doing right now?
I actually do love... I'm starting to respect this girl a lot. She just went down her checklist and ended up at, what are you, fucking poor?
That is a good way to get somebody to do something.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to admit they're poor, except for us, really.
Oh, yeah, I'm for sure poor.
We're just like, hey, like we don't have money. A lot of people don't. We're some of them, whatever. So she's being really like rude at this point. And again, I'm sober, so I'm like kind of keeping track of this. And I'm like, man, this is... like, should we all be... she hadn't said yet that she was
underage.
An underage person. So eventually she reveals that she's underage, and she's really starting to bully us.
So that's probably... I wonder if that's why. She couldn't get a drink because her card was being denied or something.
That's what my friend's wife said eventually. She was like, I think that she just literally needed somebody to order for us. So eventually, my friend, who this girl is pushing around, and he's just being very polite, and he's just like kind of ignoring her. Eventually the waitress comes over, and he's like, I'll take whatever he was drinking, and what do you want? And she was like, Tito's and lemonade. And he was like, you know what, if it'll get you to go away, whatever. So she goes back to her group. The drink hasn't come after like 5 minutes. She comes over, she says, hey, where's my drink?
Man, fuck
and he's
off.
Like, I don't know, ask the waitress. She was like, you ask the waitress.
Ooh.
Super rude. Little did I know, my friend had an ace up his sleeve. The drink is delivered, and my friend drinks it in front, like, while that girl can see. It was
Like
the
after
best.
the rude part.
I think that he had this planned the whole time.
Okay,
to
but
just-
it did happen after the rude part.
Yes.
Oh fuck yeah!
And it was
That's
great.
Awesome.
We were doing like I high fived
That's
him.
awesome.
It was a great thing, and this could be summarized into like, hey, this young person came over to us, and instead my friend dunked on her, but she was being so rude and so it really.
I was in on this girl until she pulled like the "Hey, where's my fucking drink?" card.
She
Like if somebody does you a nice,
Yeah.
even if like you said
It was the long
his
con.
plan.
He was-
even if he does a nice, like you can't pull the you can't be rude about it.
Yes, she and I couldn't tell. I didn't care enough. I didn't realize till the end. I was like, oh, this would be a good story for brunch. I wish I had been taking notes the whole time, but I didn't realize till the end just like how nasty and not nice she was being, and so I couldn't tell if she was just really drunk or whatever. Maybe she's a nice person, but it did make me reassess. Remember when I said young people have been very well behaved at
Right.
bars? I guess it's 21 and up have been very well behaved.
But we've been talking about guys,
That's true.
like young dudes who are nice at bars.
Progressive, that it's very progressive and very woke that now women can be assholes at bars
Yes,
too.
that's true. Yes.
So we're taking a step into 2019.
This podcast,
Congratulations.
This
is a big
podcast, by
step.
the way, this podcast is super progressive because we've come so far around now. Guys are great and
Yeah.
women suck.
Yes, this is the most woke take in the world. Yes, women are assholes. We've decided. No. So that's that. You want to jump into movies?
Yes, let's do Godzilla first.
Okay. My
So let's preface this by saying that if you listen to last week's episode, we came into Godzilla thinking that it would be one of the biggest pieces of shit of
we
the
were
year.
told it was awful.
We were told it was atrocious. I wouldn't say that it was.
I would agree with you. I will say there's a bit of an asterisk next to my Godzilla takes. Biased. Best friends with a star.
Randy's in it. Yeah.
But B, I bought 2 tickets. I bought tickets to this movie twice and saw it in its entirety 0 times. Was going to buy a third, but my AMC thing was up for the week, and I'm not about to spend
It was just
$20.
Godzilla, Ma.
No, Rocketman. It was Godzilla, Rocketman, Ma, Godzilla, and
Ooh, you
that
got
was like
4?
5
Would you
for the
scan the
week or
system?
something, and it was like, hey, you got to stop, dude.
I know. I feel like AMC is very lenient with their like 3 a week policy. I feel like for sure, like I've gotten 4.
Totally. I think I did that a couple weeks ago with when John Wick and no, I guess that John Wick Book Club and Aladdin came out. I guess I did 3 within a week, but the day it came out, so the Thursday, there was you know usually they start showing it at 7.
Yeah.
I was at work for a meeting and I saw that they had a showing at 4, and I was like, oh man, I'm gonna be able to go see Godzilla. Cool. Bought a ticket. Then,
What, at the 4 o'clock show and then go straight to work at 7 for the meeting?
No, meeting was at 2. I was like, hey, as
Oh,
long
okay.
as this thing wraps up, I'll be perfect. So it's wrapping up around 3:30. I buy a ticket. I'm like, perfect. One of my coworkers comes over and he was like, hey, let's like go out to dinner tonight. We're all here. Let's do it. I was like, yeah, whatever. I don't care. I was a part of the A-list thing. So went to dinner. Was way more fun. Was very excited. So missed it then. Then yesterday I was going to go see it. And I built, you know how you build in 20 to 23 minutes
For the previews? Yep.
I was like, okay, I had in my head 1:30, so as long as I get there at 1:50, I'll be fine. So I'm getting there around 1:50. I was running a little late. I'm texting you. I'm like, hey, what happens in the first 5 minutes? I might miss something. Got there, realized it didn't start at 1:30. I needed to be there at 1:30.
Oh no. It's like a 110 or something?
It was 110. So as the guy was scanning my ticket, I saw it said 110. I was like, I'm not just a weird guy who intentionally does this. I don't know what I'm going to do right now. I guess I'll walk in. So I walked in like half an hour late and tried to see will I be able to piece together what's going on in this movie.
How'd it go?
I wasn't able to. I sat there the whole time, didn't know what was going on, still enjoyed it. I figured, though, I'm going to understand this as much as I would understand a Godzilla movie anyway. I
Yeah.
just don't do these movies typically.
I honestly felt like when I watched that movie, I felt like there was a prequel that I missed, and maybe I did. Maybe it was.
That's
maybe
what
this
Wayne
was a
said.
sequel.
Wayne said this was clearly a sequel to a movie I haven't seen.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I felt that way. I don't think that I saw Godzilla 1 or Kong Skull Island. I didn't see that one either.
Are those related? Is
Yeah,
that
they're in
Mark
the same
Wahlberg one?
universe.
Okay.
Wait, is Mark Wahlberg in Kong Skull Universe?
No clue.
I think Jack Black's in that one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, I felt like there was stuff that I was missing, but it was still at the end of the day just a Godzilla movie.
Now, the big thing with this is apparently I said, what happens in the first 10, maybe 20 minutes? And you were like, no, dude, you got to see it.
Yeah.
I was like, don't be a prick. And you're like, Randy dies.
Yes.
And
Sorry,
I didn't know
spoiler.
I didn't know if I believed you.
You didn't see Randy.
I didn't see Randy.
Yes.
So now I do have to see it for a third time. I was thinking we could phone a friend and loop Randy in and just maybe we'll have, I don't know if he'll be able to do it. Maybe we'll have Randy record a voice note on here and we can drop it in. And no, that wouldn't do anything but spoil it for everybody else because I wouldn't be hearing it now and I wouldn't be able to react to it. You
That's
can
true.
tell me what happens to Randy.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, it was really disappointing because the movie opens up Randy right away. Like in the first scene, Randy's there, and
Is he the guy? Because I did read the Run P thing for the first 3 minutes.
Yeah,
and it
what'd it
said
say?
Let's look it up. It basically said a guy is crying or something, or is he the first guy they show?
I don't know. I don't remember Randy crying.
That's the only one he comes on with us.
Yes, exactly.
I'm gonna pull this up, but tell me as I pull it up. Tell me this was not a terrible movie, right? I didn't have a bad experience watching this.
No, I mean it was definitely a movie with flaws, and I didn't think that it was all that memorable or fulfilling. I thought it was just a pretty average to maybe slightly above average. I wouldn't even say slightly above average. It was an average monster movie.
I was going to say for a monster movie. And this will be, I guess, a theme throughout this episode where when we talk about Rocketman, I'm also going to look at it through the lens of that wasn't a biopic. That was a fun jukebox musical.
Right.
So you take it a lot less seriously, but you expect a lot more fun with it.
Yeah, and there were definitely parts of Godzilla that were campy enough to be like, oh, this is fun, and like this is very, very enjoyable. They sort of know what they're doing. But I also felt like at points it was way too self-serious, and I think like the grittiness of it made it feel that way. It was just like a very gritty monster movie that like also had some campiness, and it was like a weird mixture for me. But I mean, overall, I thought that it was entertaining and not nearly as bad as it was painted to be by some people.
Okay, so I pulled up the Run P thing. Very progressive on my part. I mix it up. It was a woman crying, and I
Ooh.
assumed the man was crying.
Okay.
Because it's very progressive. Okay. On screen, San Francisco 2014, we see a scene from the end of the previous movie.
Oh, okay.
There
you
you
go.
A man stands in the rubble of downtown San Francisco yelling for his wife and kids. So the man was yelling.
So I think this
Uh-oh.
is Kyle Chandler's character.
Godzilla walks past a few blocks away. We see a wife holding a young child in her arms. Yeah, that's got to be...
That's Millie Bobby Brown.
That's got to be Madison.
Yes, and the brother dies.
Watching Godzilla crying, cut to the present day. The same woman is sitting on the edge of her bed crying.
It's got to be...
Tough go for this woman. Cut to a young girl in the same house online. She reads an email from her father asking if she's okay, and she begins to reply. The news is on the TV in the background talking about a memorial for the victims of the 2014 disaster, and that there is a growing call for the monster hunting agency named Monarch to be held accountable. Another news report says the mass die-offs of marine animals could be caused by the efforts to locate and track Godzilla, who hasn't been seen, they misspelled seen, it's a homonym, I guess, in over 5 years. Another news report discusses Monarch and the call to exterminate the Titans. I'm already lost. The cut to the kitchen where her daughter is quote unquote trying to make breakfast.
Well, she basically sets the kitchen on fire.
The fire alarm goes off just as mom enters the kitchen. Tell you what, that is if I missed that first 3 minutes, I'd be very confused.
Yep.
And then I missed
You missed
21
40
more.
minutes.
Yeah.
No, and then after that, a couple minutes after that, Randy's the head scientist at the lab that they're working on one of these monsters, and they like the mom tests that little computer thingy that you know that they're big on this computer thingy.
It basically looks like the audio interface that we use to record brunch, but a little bigger.
Yes,
and can make every sound.
And it's in like the football.
Yes,
like the
right.
nuclear football.
Totally.
Yeah. So she tests that thing out. They find out that it works, and then Randy's there, and then all of a sudden the bad guys, the villains, come in. They shoot everybody, and then Randy survives. And I was like, "Oh man, Randy survives!" Nope, boom, immediately shot in the head.
Really?
Yes, he survived the initial shooting. Gets up, and I'm like, "Oh, cool! They're gonna like take Randy out." Boom, dead. So it was a little disappointing because Randy looked like he had a huge part in this movie. He was the prominent scientist.
Wow. So he had that sounds like a borderline, correct me if I'm wrong. Now, I haven't seen this, just hearing it secondhand.
Yes.
There's a bit of a game of telephone going on. Sounds like a pretty grand death. Did he have a grand death?
He had a big death.
Wow.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, man. So when you say you got to see the first 10 minutes, he dies, I'm thinking the worst, thinking about the Mist Man in in Hotel Artemis.
Yes, which was not grand at all. He just gets shot and falls into a bag of trash.
Maybe the least grand death in the world. I can't wait till this movie comes out, and we'll for sure forget to do this, but put the deaths side by side to show what a not grand death is and what a grand death is.
Absolutely.
Because, hey, man, weren't you going to why didn't you tell me? Is not grand. This sounds like the Rand Man.
Yeah, and I mean,
Rand
and to Randy's credit,
Mist Man.
Randy's credit, absolutely no trash in the scene of his death.
Do you know why Randy had a more grand death than the Mist Man?
He didn't turn down Stranger Things.
Exactly. Good job. Boom. Let's both clap in front of the mic so it sounds like
a better high five.
Got that high five.
Nailed it.
That's a big high five. Yeah, that's what happens. That's what happens.
You turn down
Double
Stranger
M.
Things, you dig your own grave.
Right.
And it's filled with trash.
Your acting career has gone downhill, even though I'm pretty sure that was the first thing you acted in. Died right away. My big takeaway from Godzilla is that it was Boston destruction porn.
Yeah, man. I was going to say one of my biggest takeaways was that I did not sign up to see literally the entire city of Boston destroyed.
Okay, so the monsters would go through cities at points, and was it Mexico City?
Sure.
There would be some big cities a monster would walk through, and they would leave a path of destruction in its wake, and that would be like a 30-second to 1 minute scene.
But whenever that stuff happens, like in these monster movies, and they like literally take down large portions of an entire city.
Yeah.
I think about that for about 5 minutes after the fact. I'm like,
you're like, now that city's gone.
Yeah, I'm like, that's like, how long is it going to take to rebuild that?
I think about that every time I see a death in anything, even if it's like
if
it's a guy.
What
like
about that
guarding
person's
the door,
family?
I always think, for some reason, the scene where Mike goes to get Chow in Breaking Bad when they take him prisoner, you know?
No.
They kidnap Chow. They take him prisoner, as Chow says, and Mike goes in.
Oh,
the
yes,
house where
where he's like shooting through the walls and stuff.
Right, in the
Yeah,
last one,
yeah.
he's got his hands up and he lowers them to indicate that shoot a little lower.
Yeah.
For some reason, I think about all those guys. I'm like, those guys were just on a stupid job, and they're all dead.
They're
now.
trying to put food on the table.
Anyway, I mean, they were bad guys they signed up for, but still, for some reason, like, I would think that with 24 too. Like when Jack would just like pick a guy off, I'm like, oh man, that guy's just dead now.
Yep.
What was I going to say? Oh yeah, so when they take out the cities, it's like 30 seconds to a minute. The treatment of Boston was Michael Scott's treatment of Toby in Threat Level Midnight
Yes.
when his head gets blown off, and they show his head getting blown off like 55 more times in slow motion. It is just over and over again.
And it's
Boston destruction, Boston destruction,
Right.
Boston destruction.
And it's like and they go in on like the most beloved monument in Boston, just Fenway
It's all
Park,
Fenway.
just completely destroyed. So I wonder if the guy who made this movie, I don't know who it is, but I wonder if the guy who made this movie just has something against Boston. Maybe he's a Yankees fan.
Maybe he's a St. Louis fan.
Oh,
Speaking
true.
of sports, real quick, anything weirder than the reporting fiasco that has followed Zdeno Chara's broken jaw?
Oh my God, it's been insufferable.
He gets hit in the face with a puck. His mouth and jaw is all bloody and gross. His chin strap, even when he was sitting on the bench,
Covered in blood.
doused in blood. people after were saying, man, I wonder if it was a broken jaw. And then when it comes out that it's a broken jaw, everyone's like, I knew it. What did you think? What could possibly cause a guy to not be able to play when he gets hit in the jaw with a puck and it's gross and bleeding everywhere? And then
I love the people that are like, you must credit me first. I had it on Thursday nights.
Oh yeah, Frank Saravalli or whatever tweeted like, wonder if it's a broken jaw for him. And he was doing, or people were on his behalf. They were like, you got to credit Frank Saravalli.
He clearly was just speculating, and it was the most obvious speculation.
It was the most obvious speculation. I kind of went in on this.
That's like after the Grizzly thing and being like, I said he had a concussion first. It's like, his head just bounced off the glass, and he didn't play in the rest of the game.
Right. His legs were not the problem, and he was helped off the ice. What do you possibly think? Funny enough, the first person who did say, I am reporting this, a source has told me he has a broken jaw, was Christian Fourier. And tell you what, I don't know how to feel about that. I've got a healthy, non-existent relationship with WEEI, but I've known Christian for a little bit now. Know that he's not a hockey reporter, and it's weird because I used to be like that, like hockey reporter guy. I think it is so funny that he reported it first, and the hockey reporters are being such babies about it.
Yeah, they are, but I get like the reluctance to credit Christian Fourier, especially when like his quote unquote report was on the air, and it was just like he was like, I got a source, Zdeno Chara, broken jaw, Dunsky for the playoffs. I'm pretty sure he used the word Dunsky, and so I was like,
Tom Giles and I were pushing hard last night for the graphic in the back as we were talking about Chara to say Zadunzo ?
Oh my god!
And they wouldn't do it. I don't know why they didn't do it. I think that a lot of us are stupidly like-minded like that. But we wanted Zadunzo, or there was something Zade
no more
jaw, and then we decided he still has a jaw. It's broken.
He has multiple jaws now.
Yeah,
other way to put it.
So not only did Christian Fourier have it first, he did it like an old school way. Like, hey folks, I got a big scoop. Tune in at 2. Normally, I'm trying to think of like stories with the few that I would break back in the day. I would never be like, hey, hearing something interesting about David Krejci and his contract status. You're gonna want to tune into Sunday Skate in 1 week, and then like within 5 minutes, another reporter would be like, yeah, so David Krejci signed a new contract, probably. Yeah, like you just give it away,
right?
And he has been tipping his hand, like, hey, there's something new here. There's a developing story, and nobody's getting it until he reports it, and it's right. Crazy.
Yeah, it was never going to be wrong.
He's hijacked, right? If it was gonna be, I think he's got a broken jaw,
right? So I don't know, but yeah, Godzilla.
Again. I kind of didn't see the movie. So when I say it was a fine monster movie, it was as good. The
second half was fine.
Yeah, it was as good as Rampage. When it ended, it had like a big reveal that like now it's this. That could have been just another little turn, and I did not know that was a resolution.
Yeah, I didn't really care about any of it, honestly. I was just like there with my brain turned off, just watching monsters fight. So the cast was good, but the characters weren't great.
I realized as we were saying this, we weren't going to hate it because we do have a scale for monster movies.
Right.
Where
you have to.
It's going to be entertaining. It's not going to be the greatest movie I've ever seen.
The way that it was built...
I liked Rampage.
Well, the way that it was built up and like the way that it was described by Mike Ryan, which we read on last week's podcast, he basically said that like you couldn't see any of the fights because the CGI was bad and like there was too much rain and it was dark. I didn't feel that way. I thought it was like...
It was dark and rainy, but I caught myself actually looking for like, is this hindering it? And
it wasn't.
It did not.
Yeah. So like I didn't have that much of an issue with it. The Bradley Whitford's character absolutely sucked.
I know.
That guy was terrible.
They were like, hey, Bradley, can you gain like 25 pounds and be terrible? Cool. Right. Oh, yeah, people aren't going to like the movie. Oh, no, definitely not your character.
Right.
You want to do it?
I spent like the entire movie, like 50% of my energy was spent trying to figure out whether Thomas Middleditch's character was bad or not. Because like at certain points they were like painting the way for him to be like a
Double
real asshole, like double agent, and it just never happened. He was just a nice guy.
Yeah, the guy that was the bad guy on the other side, man, they helped me out as someone who hadn't seen the first 20 minutes or whatever and was coming in late. They had him in a bad guy costume. He was wearing all black, something that went up to his neck. Don't know if it was a turtleneck. Maybe it was like a collar or something that he had popped vampire style.
Yeah.
No clue. And all of his hair was white.
And
that is as bad guy a look as
And
you'll
it
ever
was
see.
played by the guy who played Tywin Lannister, which you don't watch Game of Thrones, but very bad guy in
Nobody
that.
does, dude.
Very bad guy in that
They
show.
canceled. That show got canceled.
It did get canceled. You're right.
Speaking of which, and Thomas Middleditch, this is it
Oh yeah, it's Silicon Valley last season coming up.
for the best.
Yes, for sure.
It's taken a...
We mentioned it.
Yeah.
My interest in that show is at an all-time low.
That's right. We did discuss that. Where if I didn't see it until a day or two later, I was like, okay, whatever, I'll catch up. That would never be the case.
I hadn't realized that they pushed back filming. They just stopped filming, and so I don't think that they've filmed the final season yet. But this is going to be the final season, and they have to film it.
Did they push it back because they were like Dr. Dre trying to make a new album for a million years? Like, this is just all bad. I gotta stop.
Probably.
I'm gonna circle back in like 4 more years, and then I'm gonna come out with Compton, which is
As with anything
okay
that's
at
ever
best.
said on the show, that could be completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. They just didn't film, and now they announced that it's the last season they're going to film.
Why don't you pay some bills for us?
All right. There's a widely held belief that procrastination is a bad thing. But life,
Could be us. Or couldn't be us.
life, it isn't so black and white. Sometimes procrastination can work in your favor. You want an example?
Sure.
Great, because I've got one on deck. If you need life insurance, but you've been putting it off, congratulations, you've managed to procrastinate long enough for technology to make it super easy. There you go. Nailed
Don't wait
it.
any longer, though. Because
Right.
the technology's not going to get better.
Do not wait longer. We have the solution for you right
Perfect time.
now. Policy Genius. It's the easy way to shop for life insurance online. In just 2 minutes, you can compare quotes from top insurers and find the best price. It's so easy that even dummies like us can do it. Once you apply, the Policy Genius team will handle all the paperwork and the red tape. There's no sales pressure. There's no hidden fees, just financial protection and peace of mind. And Policy Genius doesn't just make life insurance easy. They also help you find the right home insurance, auto insurance, and disability insurance. It's so easy. Again, we're dumb. We don't know anything about insurance or life in general. So if we can do it, you could do it. If you need life insurance, but you've been busy doing literally anything else, check out Policy Genius. It's the easy way to compare all the top insurers and find the best value for you. That's policygenius.com. Nobody wants to shop for life insurance. That's why we made it easy. That's right. We did it.
It was us.
Yes.
Policy Genius. Us. We did it.
Nailed it.
Use the... it was us.
Please must credit brunch when you buy life insurance.
Yes.
But by the way, gotta acknowledge the fact that we got absolutely jacked
Why?
by that brunch company, that restaurant that just fucking stole our logo.
This is now the second time someone has completely stolen our
The
logo.
Lamplighter one, it looks very similar to our font, but I
Oh, is
don't.
it not the same
I don't
font?
think it's the exact same. There is, without a shadow of a doubt, this restaurant in somewhere, I don't know where it
Screen
is.
grabbed our logo.
Literally, I think they ripped our logo and then just added a color filter on it and was like, "Come to our brunch."
Man. Maybe...
And even their description of their brunch was on brand for brunch. It was we don't take ourselves too seriously. Just come on over. We'll have a progressive time. We hate women too.
Wait, what?
Yes.
Oh, we're progressive. Yes. I was like, wait a second. No, we don't. That is not our stance. You got to consult me when we make such drastic and career-ruining
It's called
declarations.
callback humor.
Yeah. Rocketman. I'm going to open the floor. I'm going to let you lead this one because I've got a lot of thoughts, and I don't want to go on a runaway train.
Yeah, I mean, I just assume that you're going to have a very complex and all over the place. I liked it, but this. I didn't like it, but this.
I'll give you
blah,
my
blah.
short summary.
I'm going to give you my short summary first. It was fucking awesome.
B+ that felt like an A+ sometimes, right?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. When it was,
but the A+ moments were enough for me. Like, I'm going to remember the A+ moments, not the B+ moments.
yes. Was there ever a point in it when you thought, like, wait a second, is this movie not that good?
No,
Oh, I did.
I did not.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it the entire way through.
The Goodbye Yellow Brick Road scene was like,
Which one was that?
Some of the worst douche chills I've ever felt in my life. When he has the dinner with Bernie, and Bernie storms out singing
yeah.
Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, and there's like go on then, you never believed it. And it was like there was a level of it went so far past its own cheesiness threshold. And I'll say, as far as movies go, I said this already about this movie. This was way more a jukebox musical than it was a biopic.
I don't know if you can say it went past its like cheesy threshold though, because in the first half an hour of the movie, they have like a big ass dance scene and musical number at like a fair where there's like a big old Ferris wheel in the background. I mean, that is the most cheesy thing in the world.
It was. Again, this is more. This is more in the Mamma Mia world.
It
than
absolutely
is in whatever world Bohemian Rhapsody was trying to exist in. And I want to limit the Bohemian Rhapsody references and comparisons other than, again, second John Reed movie in 1 year.
Well, I'm not going to avoid it as much as you are. Like, I sent out a tweet last night after I saw Rocketman. I said, Rocketman is everything that I wanted Bohemian Rhapsody to be.
That's why I don't want to make the comparison, because Bohemian Rhapsody is so legitimately a terrible movie. Although I do see your point. Like, if Bohemian Rhapsody could have been this, if they just leaned into...
Because Elton John and Queen have a lot of similarities in like their stories and in like how like dramatic and eccentric they are.
Right.
That Queen deserved a biopic that was as weird and as wacky,
gay,
and
over the top rock star.
Right, exactly. I felt like Queen deserved that sort of treatment to their story, and there definitely could have been. Bohemian Rhapsody would have been great had it had more flair and not been a fucking paint by numbers biopic, because Queen is the last band in the world that deserves a paint by numbers biopic.
This movie made me realize how much Bohemian Rhapsody blew it by not actually doing the songs. And like the songs in this movie, the actual songs themselves, like some of the song scenes ruled, but the actual like performances and arrangements weren't anything special. If Bohemian Rhapsody even had that, it would have helped it out so much more. Just the fact that they just like dropped in old Freddie Mercury stuff and had Rami Malek lip sync to it was awkward and bad. They could have had a terrible actual soundtrack, and it would have made the movie so much better. Yeah, this movie did shine a light kind of on everything that Bohemian Rhapsody did wrong. Because this movie did pretty much everything right.
Did you think that if this movie came out first before Bohemian Rhapsody, that people would have hated Bohemian Rhapsody more?
Ooh, good question. I don't know. I really hope.
I hope so,
because people will see that this is a much better movie than Bohemian Rhapsody.
It was really creative, and like it did justice to Elton John and like his story and how much of a character he was.
Yes, right. They made no lie about the fact that he was very much a diva, a pill, pain in the ass to work with.
Right, and he's still alive, so he signed off on this.
Right.
Like, if Freddie Mercury, like, I understand, like, not wanting to disgrace Freddie Mercury's like legend or whatever, or not make it.
But they did disgrace it. They made him an asshole who quit the band when he never fucking did that.
I suppose, yeah, but they gave him a redemption arc.
Well, even more problematic.
You're right. So I get it, but I don't know. I thought that. And by the way, Taron Egerton was awesome.
He was great.
Yeah, he was really, really good. And he looked... There were at points in this movie where I could not believe how much he looked like Elton John.
I thought it took a while, but eventually they got there. I needed the like mid-70s balding Elton John. Mm-hmm. That's when I was going to decide how well the makeup and everything was. And when he got there, he looked just like him. Because I would imagine that's the toughest one to look like.
Yeah, the balding one, and like especially because I mean Elton John's not exactly a looker. We can say that,
right? And
Taron Egerton for sure is. He's a handsome ass dude.
Yeah, that there were two main things that set Taron apart from Elton. A,
much better body.
He's just a much better looking person. He's more fit.
They have a
like,
sex scene, and he in the sex scene,
man.
I was like, wow, he's way too in shape for
those
for
muscles.
This.
Yes, he looked man.
By the way, credit to fucking Rocketman. Gay
They
sex
showed
scene.
drugs and gay sex.
Yes.
Who knew?
Yeah, right.
We still can't confirm that Freddie Mercury never did either of those things. We don't think he did. The two things, he just doesn't look like Elton John, way more handsome, and I guess that's his fault. We could shame him for that. And the other one, I'm not the only person to think this. Elton John's a very hard person to play if you're going to be singing his parts, and we can get into this with the soundtrack, but there are some real limitations that... Is his last name Edgerton?
I think
Taron
it's
Egerton?
I don't know which one it is.
Taron.
Yes.
That Taron has that really, really, really show up in the songs, which leads to it not being such a great soundtrack. I'm glad I'm not alone on that. The soundtrack has not gotten...
Well, you got
reviews.
into a bit of a verbal spat with the Lights Camera Barstool Boys, or Jeff
Yeah,
Lowe in particular.
I love Jeff. I legitimately think that he liked the movie, and what's the opposite of throwing the baby out with the bathwater? Where you like the movie so much that you say
take the bad
every part
stuff,
of it
yeah.
is the best. I really, really like this movie. I'm going to see it a million more times. Again, B+ that felt like an A+ at points.
I think that Jeff, I'm sort of more in Jeff's camp, because I thought that the soundtrack was really good for the movie, and for like accounting for the fact that Taron Egerton is singing it. And so
Here's the test.
And also you don't like you analyze music way more than me and Jeff are going to.
Here's the test, and you got to be honest with me. And this is going to end with you saying, "Okay, DJ, you have a point." Mamma Mia. Sometimes you'll listen to the songs, Mamma Mia 2. Their version of One of Us is great. Will you ever go and listen? Will you ever choose to listen to one of the songs from the soundtrack? Probably not. Probably not.
Probably not, unless
Probably
I want to
not.
like remember a scene from the movie.
That's how, right. I went back and listened to it, to make sure that I was correct. Nailed it.
Yeah, like if I'm thinking about the movie and I want to sort of recollect one of the cool scenes and numbers in the movie, I will probably go listen to the soundtrack, and that will help me.
Yeah, I won't spend a lot of time on the soundtrack, but just so two things with Taron Egerton, whatever his last name is, he doesn't have much control over his voice, which is like Elton's thing, and he doesn't have much range, which is really Elton's thing. Elton could go seamlessly between his chest voice and falsetto, and you wouldn't be able to tell which voice he was using, which is why he had this crazy range, could do all this stuff. So they had to. So his with Egerton's voice not being very high, they had to transpose a couple songs. The Bitch Is Back, definitely. So that was lower, and it sounded kind of muddy. Not great. Whatever. People do that all the time. That's how Billy Joel tours now. The other thing, though, I feel like they didn't spend much time with him in the actual studio, because they could have done more takes of songs and edited around it to make it sound more like Elton. And I understand you don't want to sound exactly like Elton, but he had to take some real shortcuts just to be able to get through the songs. And I feel like if they spent more time with him, they could have made it a lot better, and you would have gotten that sort of feeling like, wow, this is a lot like Elton John.
But I also think that music was sort of secondary in this movie.
Totally. And that was okay. Because
because they
played
nailed
the
every
music-
other part, basically.
When they put in the music scenes were more visual
Yes.
than they were audio, which is fine. But just don't go then saying like this. The soundtrack was incredible. The one that really stands out to me is Rocketman. When he does the and I'm gonna be high, he does a little run, then he dips back up, and it's a cool thing. I just tried to do it, can't do it because only Elton John can do it. But like with auto tune and shit, they could have done that, and Egerton just goes and I'm gonna be high, and it just sounds so lazy and bad and lame. So Egerton, great actor. I don't think he would tell you he's the best singer in the world. The songs mostly sounded like he was in pain or taking short. No, because they're too high. That would happen
Right.
if you had. It would happen right now if you had Billy Joel sing one of his songs in their original key. It would sound how Taron Egerton sounded in this
Like
movie.
he's just unable to do it.
Right.
Yeah, but again, like I'm fine with the music being average to like a little above average because they clearly spent time on other things and were like, we're going to prioritize these things, and they did a really good job.
Totally agree. What was your favorite music scene?
The carnival one was fucking sweet.
Bitch is back.
Yeah.
Was that the bitch?
No, that wasn't the
no,
bitch.
that was
Friday.
Saturday.
Yeah. Whatever
Saturday
day
Night's
it's all right
Alright
for a fight.
Friday. There
Yes.
we go.
Yeah.
We're gonna be ranking our top 5 Elton John songs coming up. Both of ours is gonna be Friday nights.
Friday on
the Low.
Hump Day is a good day for a fight.
Yeah.
That one was awesome. I don't know. I thought like the whole movie was fucking sweet.
Honky Cat.
Honky
When he's
Cat.
just starting to blow up, and he and John Reed are really hot and heavy, and he's getting really it's like there's like a lot of colors going on, and he's walking around. There's a shot where I think he's just like walking through a room. Someone comes up to him with like a big contract to sign and a huge pencil. He signs it while he's singing. Someone comes up with some coke. He does that. You think he gives John Reed a smooch. It's just so I keep using this word, grand,
yes,
and flamboyant and amazing, and it felt like this is what an Elton John movie should be.
The first time that he plays what's the place, the
Troubadour.
The Troubadour. The first time that he plays the Troubadour, whatever music scene that was awesome.
Loved that. Here's my other note about the soundtrack. Every fucking song started with a little slow, tepid intro, and then
That's very true.
So that scene is,
but I think that really like plays up.
I remember
yes,
when rock was young. 45 minutes later, Susie. Like he's only said me and in the last 45 minutes. Just tickling those ivories.
I like
and
it, though.
Dripping in those words one by one.
I like it. It's like it creates the dramatic drop, and it really gets you going.
Did you notice, though, they did that with, like, half the songs?
Yes.
I loved when they did that with Crocodile Rock. I was like,
Crocodile Rock was awesome.
This is a corny-ass device, and I'm so glad they're using
Yes.
it. And then, like, 20 minutes later, I was like, I think this is all they got.
I'm so glad they're using this again.
It's a little bit... Hold on, I was a little flat there. Bit... Nice. Nailed it. Funny. That was every song in the movie. But yeah, I loved the Honky Cat scene. Crocodile Rock was probably...
Really, really cool.
They, because it slows down at the post-chorus thing, and they all float.
Yep.
It was great. I just really liked they built that stuff into it, because none of the stuff, the movie, the biographical aspects of the movie were very vague, and like you didn't care. You're like you took away from it. He had an affair with John Reed, his manager. He had a very tough upbringing. His parents hated each other. His father wasn't really in the picture, and his mom was very cruel. All of those things are true.
Yeah.
With that, it was just all kind of loose, fluffy stuff. You
His
never
parents-
looked at
his
something and you're
parents
like,
were the
I wonder if
fucking
they
worst.
said this, or I wonder if they did this. I wonder if this exact thing happened. You didn't really care.
You don't really care
They were just singing songs
Right.
and
that's the thing.
flying.
It's like, that's the thing for like I don't care how many like liberties that they took in that movie.
Could not agree more.
Because like they made it an interesting story and they presented it in an interesting way. If you're going to tell the Bohemian Rhapsody story, I'm going to care
Right,
that
are
you
you
take
telling me a
liberties
story or not?
because you're presenting it in like a very paint by numbers way. If you're going to do that, tell the fucking story as it happened.
I think everyone would agree. So my summary, other than my grade, I said B+, felt like an A+ of points. This was a jukebox musical set loosely around Elton
Even
John's
the tagline.
life.
The tagline says "Inspired by a true fantasy."
Perfect.
Right.
Right? This is what was funny, though, about how they would weave the songs in and out. Because they were doing that, they kind of had to force context on some songs, and some of those forcings were hilarious. Like Benny and the Jets, they made about drugs or whatever. You're like, okay, whatever. He's doing a lot of drugs. They haven't played Benny and the Jets yet. Let's make Benny and the Jets about drugs. The best one, though, was our guy, the Mist Man's song, Tiny Dancer.
Yes.
They make it about his buddy getting laid and him watching the foreplay.
That was super weird.
He was just at a party after he just played the show of his life. He's standing amongst people, having a good time at a party. They're doing drugs and everything, and he is just locked in on Bernie Taupin, hitting on a girl, and maybe having sex.
Yeah, that one was like, it's like, too bad you'll marry a music man. And it was like, oh,
Yeah.
it's the guy who writes his songs. And it's just like, oh, okay. But I think my favorite one is where he like essentially tries to commit suicide in a pool. And
I loved that line. Oh, and then he sees his young self.
no, where he says,
yes,
I'm going to change my life.
I miss the earth so much. I miss my life.
Yeah, and he changes it to I miss my life.
That was how. That's how much more progressive this movie is than Bohemian Rhapsody. They changed the lyrics of this movie to make it gayer. Like, no, wife.
But that they do show.
They do gloss over his marriage.
Oh my God! So,
But you're okay with it. Enough has happened by this point. You're like, they're just dancing around and sprinkling
Yeah.
whatever they want.
they
We're not
literally
taking this
literally
seriously.
show him getting married to a woman, and then in the very next scene, it's him and his wife like hating each other and they're breaking up.
Although, didn't hate that. The scene of
I don't need that.
Their house. They're living in a big house. They wake up in the morning. They each walk out of their bedrooms and they're like, "Hello." They go down and they have breakfast and he's drinking and everything. I don't know that I aspire to be in a marriage where we're sleeping in separate bedrooms, but
And
as
you're
long
getting
as I
drunk
like
at
the
9
person-
a.m.
I mean, he seemed to not dislike her.
Right.
They seemed to be kind of okay with each other.
Yeah.
That seems like more of a partnership than a lot of marriages that actually exist.
that's very
They at
true.
least- they had some ground rules. They understood. They understood where they were at.
Yeah, I mean, you could even make the case that this movie is more progressive because of that. They were just like
Super progressive movie.
They were just like, oh, he gets married to a woman, but let's just get back to the gay stuff.
Right. You're right. Like, okay, enough of that. We should talk about a couple of the characters. Joshua plays the owner of the Troubadour, or the manager of the Troubadour.
Joshua from the OC.
Don't call it that. Friends.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Are
He's
you not far enough in the OC? Don't call it that. Is an Arrested Development reference.
I'm not that far.
And when you make it to someone who hasn't seen Arrested Development, it sounds so rude and dismissive.
Yes.
So I instinctively always say that, and then I check, and then the person has never seen it.
I haven't
and then
gotten that
I'm like,
far.
oh, I've already been rude. The OC was really starting to ramp up and take on popularity as the replacement for Arrested Development's time slot.
Okay.
So when they were clearly canceling Arrested Development, and the show knew it in the third season, a lot of that season is about them trying to save the family when it's really trying to save the show.
Yeah.
And they force people into the show to say the OC at points. And as soon as somebody says the OC, another character says, don't call it that. The best one is Tobias says, it would appear George Michael has what we in the soft sciences call obsessive compulsive disorder, or as we in the soft sciences call it, the OC disorder. And immediately they're like, don't call it that.
Yeah. So I mean, he is Joshua
Joshua
from
from
Friends,
Friends.
and he's Marissa's dad in the OC.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Good for that guy. Also, another comparison to Bohemian Rhapsody. After I said let's not mention Bohemian Rhapsody because this movie's so much better. What was I going to say? Oh, where Bohemian Rhapsody had sweaty Jeff Lynne as the first manager, this movie had sweaty Ike Barinholtz as the first manager. You know, the guy that's like, hey, play me some more songs. All your songs suck.
That's not Ike Barinholtz at all.
But it looks like a sweaty Ike Barinholtz.
No, I know, but it doesn't at all. It does not look like him.
You didn't think that guy looks like
No.
sweaty Ike Barinholtz?
You know who he is, though? He's the guy who plays Al Capone in Boardwalk Empire.
Ah, I jumped out of
I loved-
Boardwalk Empire after season and a half.
Really? I liked Boardwalk Empire a lot. But yeah, I thought that guy was great. He was such an asshole, but he's not pretending that he's not an asshole.
Yeah.
He's just very much who he is.
I did
Great
love-
mustache.
We mentioned when he sang the Rocketman scene. I love. It started with his family's there. He's annoyed. He's doing a bunch of drugs and pills. And he goes on the. This was probably in the trailer, so I don't know why I thought it was so cool. But this was like Egerton's best scene probably. he's like stumbling around, is in his bathrobe, having a miserable time. He walks onto the diving board and yells, "For my next trick, I'm gonna fucking kill myself." Dips into the pool, sings
Of course,
Rocket
that's
Man.
your favorite song,
Which,
favorite scene.
I will say, like, he's got a song called "I Think I'm Gonna Kill Myself." You could have done that.
Not widely known.
Right? They didn't do a lot of deep cuts in this movie, which will be a
They
problem.
They pulled the Mamma Mia move. Save for the second one.
Oh, maybe Rocketman 2 is going to be dope. Then he could have done "I Think I'm Gonna Kill Myself." Then he could have killed himself. If they're taking liberties, whatever, might as well make him dead. And then second one opens on "Funeral for a Friend."
Oh, hell yeah. There you go.
Then
he comes back to life, and you play Circle of Life.
yes. So my two notes, or my I guess my three negative notes on the movie were, I don't want it to seem like I didn't like this movie. I absolutely loved it. I'm going to see it a million more times. Where the Goodbye Yellow Brick Road scene didn't work. The soundtrack was just fine, but I didn't need the soundtrack to be anything special. I'm just going to push back if somebody says that it was excellent. And the last one was, I thought the super green screening him into the "I'm Still Standing" video at the end.
That was
so
weird.
distracting.
That was
right?
so weird.
Was it
Yeah.
distracting?
Yes, it was. I wouldn't say it was distracting more than it was just completely out of place.
It looked it looked like it was poorly done, though.
Yes, very poorly done.
I feel like nowadays you shouldn't be able to tell when someone's green screened onto something.
Yeah, I mean they have like
Is that
facial.
technology
They have literally like de-aging technology. You can make a person their younger selves in a movie.
Ah.
You should be able to insert him and not make it look weird.
I mean, at least we got to see the "I'm Still Standing" music video, which is great. And "I'm Still
Right.
Standing" is just an excellent song, but it was distracting.
At least they saved it for last though, so like you weren't like, what the fuck was that for like 10 minutes?
Would you have just reshot the music video with everybody?
Probably,
Right.
right? Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
You got three options. You could show the actual Elton John video as you do like the end notes.
You know what you do is you use the actual video and then you splice it in with the reshoot.
Side by side?
Not necessarily side by
Oh,
side, but like cutting
I know
back
what
and
you're
forth.
saying. Love that.
Yeah.
And you could definitely match the graininess and
Right.
everything to look like it. That's what they should have done. It looked, again, musically, and I guess, would this fall under musically because it was a music scene? They just took some shortcuts that I'm like, man,
You didn't need
I wonder
to do
why
that.
you do that.
Yeah.
Right. You could have spent more time on it. It was cool. The person that oversaw all the music in this movie was George Martin's son. George Martin did a lot of the
R.R.
Beatles.
Martin?
No.
The Game of Thrones guy?
You keep bringing up that show. It got canceled, dude.
George R.R. Martin
No
wrote
one's
Game
gonna
of
talk
Thrones.
about your little hipster, friggin' freaks and geeks.
Nobody knows what you're talking about, man.
Yeah, no one knows what you're talking about when you mention Game of Thrones. Your little fairy freaks and geeks. That's what that's called.
Overall, I thought Rocketman was like a solid A. I loved it.
I would say that love might be
I loved it.
I loved it, and I intend to see it a million more times.
Especially
Again,
like if we're gonna put it on Godzilla on the monster movie scale,
Yeah.
we're gonna put Rocketman on the jukebox musical scale.
Mm-hmm.
It was an A plus.
an A plus.
If it's on the jukebox musical scale,
So
there's
here-
not a lot of great jukebox musicals.
Now this is what's tough for me. I think that Taron, whatever his last name is, deserves a
Best Actor?
nominee.
Yeah, same. I was gonna ask you that too.
But I wonder, will this movie be taken as a serious movie? Because it wasn't.
no, it wasn't, and it
was-
won't, and it won't get like a Best Picture nom.
Okay, so that's what I was wondering.
No, it
If
won't.
after friggin' Bohemian Rhapsody, that piece of shit got a Best Picture nom, are you now forced to say, okay, we're going to give this jukebox musical that was a lot of fun a Best Picture nom?
No, because Bohemian Rhapsody took itself seriously, and for some reason,
People bought it.
other people did too. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of where you land.
Okay,
but-
cool. I also would feel that it would be inappropriate to give it a Best Picture nom.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say where Mamma Mia I think is an A plus for like a fun jukebox.
Mamma Mia
musical.
2.
Mamma Mia 2. I'm sorry. Yeah, you know what I would say? Like if Mamma Mia 2 is an A plus, this is probably like an A minus, B plus, A minus.
I'm gonna put it in the middle. I'm gonna put A.
Okay.
It's a step down from Mamma Mia 2, but it's not far away.
Okay.
It's a lot of fun.
I don't disagree with that. Were there? No, there's really not a part in Mamma Mia 2 where you're like, this is stupid.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
That's
it
movie, dude.
never gets stupid. Even on like the 40th viewing, you're like, I love every part of this movie.
And the visuals in Mamma Mia too. It's unfair. I mean, that's shot in wherever it is.
Right.
The water, everything, and the people are just so beautiful. Meanwhile, this movie, you're trying to make a handsome person look like Elton John. You're not doing yourself any favors with the visuals. I did love some of his clothing, some of his pants, of course. There's a scene where he's wearing red pants. I'm like, man, I would love to be able to wear.
They killed the
red
costumes.
pants.
I think this movie's going to. Should this movie win costume design?
It should.
Right, but I'm the reason why I'm saying can it and should it is because Elton John did those costumes.
Right, just give it to Elton John.
Yeah, so it's like, well, you weren't that creative. You just copied what he did, but they nailed it.
Didn't they give Bohemian Rhapsody best like audio editing?
Yes,
because they were like, "Oh, the music was great."
It's like, yeah, you didn't make the music; you
Thanks.
just dropped it in.
Yeah,
you just know that you didn't make
we'll
these
be
songs.
sure to give Reinhold Mack his Oscar. Man,
I spent the entire Rocketman movie trying to fucking figure out who played his mom.
oh, Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yes,
yeah.
and I just had to look it up. Yeah, I couldn't figure it out. For some reason, I was stuck on like the only person name that popped into my head was Christina Hendricks, and it wasn't her.
She was good, but because you're watching a jukebox musical, you dumb your brain down a lot to kind of get into that world. So as a result, I'm like, she was terrible. She was mean because you just made yourself so simple. Like, Bryce Dallas Howard was horrible, but she was great.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we want to do what? Let me see if I have any other notes on here. Yeah, I mean, this was a very, very fun movie. Loved it a lot. There was only one scene I thought was bad and terrible, which was the Goodbye Yellow Brick Road scene. But other than that, a lot of fun.
And I guess I should say that I came into this movie with like a lot of apprehensions. And
Same.
I don't know if it was because I had Bohemian Rhapsody PTSD disorder. But like I came into this movie being like, I don't know. And I think that we said it when we saw the trailers and stuff too, because the trailers really played up the fantasy aspect more than I think the movie delivered on.
Yeah.
It wasn't like completely wrapped in fantasy. Like it just intertwined it a little bit. So I thought when I was heading in that it was either going to be really good or really bad.
I agree.
Because it seemed like a premise that was either going to hit spectacularly or miss like completely. And it's tough to do Elton John's story and to have Taron Egerton do Elton John's songs. But I got to say, like, it delivered 100% for me.
See, I expected also that I was either going to think it was the best or the worst. And instead, what I came away with was, like, I loved it. I didn't think... It's not Mamma Mia. It's not Mamma Mia 2, but that's okay. It can be. But I thought I would either be 100 or 0, and I came in at 88, 89, 90, which is excellent.
Good enough.
Movie. No, see, again, we're in a world now where B+ is, oh, so you had a problem with it. Oh, you didn't like it. You didn't. Somebody did that.
The Star is Born. Somebody said that.
Someone's like, "Oh, well, you hated A Star is Born." I was like, "No, I didn't. I thought it was what did I say? Like,
you said it was really good,
like,
but
really,
not
really good,
not amazing."
Yes,
because everybody's initial reaction was like, "Oh my god, this is the best movie ever. It's amazing."
Yeah, what's wrong with saying something's good or really good now is like,
and it's
controversial.
Well, I mean, it's in the same category as saying a lot of movies are just fine. Like it doesn't just because a movie like Godzilla.
And I still like seeing them.
Godzilla didn't fucking suck. It was fine for me.
Yeah, I mean,
it's okay to say that a movie's fine.
And if you know what your like 100 is, like that thing you do, Mamma Mia 2, The Graduate, I really really love. How many people? There are people out there who it's like, hey, what's your favorite movie? It's like, oh, well, it's a 400-way tie between every movie I've liked. I've never said I just liked a movie. I've said that this movie is the best, and I need to prove that I like it more than you, and if you didn't like it as much as me, you're a hater or you didn't get it. Like, no. There are very few movies that I think are the best. And you should... I don't know. It's like marrying every girl you ever date. Right?
Yeah, well...
Couldn't be
us.
dating.
So I guess we it's decided. Rocketman is the best movie ever.
Yep.
Also the best movie ever. Ma.
We got to rank our top 5 Elton John songs.
We're never gonna get to Ma, which is hilarious.
Okay. Top 5 Elton John songs. Let's count down from 5.
No, let's count down from consolations because you said we can have up to 3 consolation prizes.
I wanted to do honorable mention after, so it builds suspense.
Fine.
We're building up.
All right.
Say, oh man, they haven't said this one yet.
Number 5. First on my list, or last on my list, but maybe first on my
This
stated on my
by
list.
the way.
What?
This was impossible.
It sucked. Yeah. Number 5. First song in Rocketman.
The Bitch Is Back?
Yes.
Bitch Is Back is so good.
Yes.
Really rockin' song. Number 5 for me, another rockin' song, but one later in his career. That's not even true because he was still rockin' into the 90s. I'm Still Standing. Just love it. What a
Last song in the movie.
Yeah. Ooh, a little
Look at
bookend
that
action.
Yeah, there we go. Number 4 for me, the titular song.
Rocketman?
Yeah.
Did you notice why they made Rocketman one word for this movie?
Yeah.
And
Is it 2 for the
for the song? It's Rocket Space Man. Rocketman is
isn't Rocketman a movie from the 90s?
Oh yeah, with
That goofy ass dude.
with I don't know who plays the main guy, but young Jennifer Connelly.
Ooh, yeah.
Ageless, perfect, beautiful Jennifer Connelly.
No, the Rocketman is the goofy ass dude.
Who plays him?
I don't know. I gotta figure out what's his. Fuck.
Do you think that's why they did it? Maybe.
Maybe. What's his name?
I never even considered
I'm
that
looking.
that's what the name
I'm
of that
looking up
movie was.
Taking movie with the space, and
It's taking
just,
you to
it's
Elton
taking me to
John?
Elton John. So that
Was it called something else?
Oh no, Rocketman in 1997 was all one word too. It was just the M was capitalized.
That's weird. And that was 1997. I thought it was a lot earlier.
No, 1997. What's this guy's name? Harland Williams.
Oh yeah, what else is he in? Let me see. Show me him for a second.
This guy.
Oh,
you know that guy. Come
Is
on.
he in-
He was like a stud in the 90s. He was fucking hilarious.
he's not. Is he in? Half Baked?
Yes, he is. Yeah. He plays Kenny in Half Baked. He's in Dumb and Dumber. He plays a state trooper who drinks the pee.
Yeah. You'll shut your mouth if you know what's good for you.
Yes.
Okay.
Freddie Got Fingered.
Here's what I love about Rocketman. You're really waiting for that chorus to hit, and when the first chorus hits, they do a double chorus, and you usually save that for the second chorus, the last chorus. Never when you play the first chorus are you like, that felt good, let's do it again.
Right.
And they know it's just such a good chorus, they do it twice. So just a great arranging from Elton and whoever produced that song. My number 4, Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me.
Ooh.
Speaking of a song that takes forever to get to the chorus, that first verse
takes
is
so
like
long.
3.5 years.
Yeah.
And it's not like they do 2 verses and then a chorus. They just have one really, really long ass verse. Have you seen the performance of Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me with George Michael?
I have not.
That is legitimately, and as we talk about some of these songs, there have been some great covers of Elton John songs, which show you just that they are amazing songs that could be done by anybody. Shouts out to Taron Egerton, though not really being able to do it quite as well as the George Michaels and Sarah Bareilles of the world and the Missmans of the world.
We should write a song called "Don't Let Your Sun Go Down on Me."
The progressive. I love Don't Let This Song Go Down on Me. It's got everything you want in an Elton John song. Very dramatic chorus. Amazing. Number 3.
Number 3, Crocodile Rock.
Ah, nice. I'm going to bring up this point. This is going to blow some minds. Okay, so Crocodile Rock, when it goes into the chorus, it goes, we were hopping and bopping to the Crocodile Rock. Well, what does he say next?
No idea.
Just even give me the first sounds.
Craw rockin',
Crow rockin',
Yeah.
exactly. Crow rockin' with something shocking when your feet just can't keep still. Everybody thinks, right? You go,
Yeah, crow rockin'.
Crow rockin', in this movie, he goes, well, crocodile rockin', and I was like, oh
What
man,
the hell?
come on, man, you can't do that. So I was texting my friend about it, and she was like, "Hey, how was the movie?" And I was like, "Great. How was the soundtrack?" Just fine. Although it was funny. She said, like, "How does he do the cra raga?" And I was like, "Funny you should ask." He says crocodile rockin'. Then later, I was listening to a bunch of Elton, and the "Don't Shoot Me, I'm only the piano player" version came on. Elton does say crocodile rockin'.
Really?
And for some reason, you understood, I understood, she understood. It's cra rockin'.
Yeah.
Why did we all hear it wrong? He actually does say
in the regular version?
crocodile rockin'? Yes.
Really?
Crazy. How is it all put in our brains that he says cra rockin'?
This is the Bernstein Bears thing.
Mind blowing,
Yeah.
right? It's crazy.
What the fuck?
And I was like, maybe it's just one of them that he does it. No,
Every time?
he says crocodile rockin', and I don't know if the only explanation I could think of is maybe with some remaster or something over the years. This new one, it's more clear that he says crocodile rocking, and the vocals are maybe muddier in whatever version we heard when we
I
were
swear,
young,
like
but
in my head, it's cry rockin'.
same, everybody.
Yeah.
So that's a little thing that just blew my mind. My number 3, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
Okay.
I'm thinking, like, when it gets to the top 3, it's really like nut cutting time. You're only hearing 3 more Elton John songs the rest of your life, and it stinks with Elton John doing a top 5 because there's so many songs that you would consider like 100 out of 100.
Yeah.
And this one, and Goodbye Yellow Brick Road is like, yeah, well, that's like the Elton John song. But you know what? I could still hear that song a million times.
There's only one song that I would be like, are you kidding me if you didn't include it in your top 5? And I mean, and we'll get to it. But number 2 for me, Your Song.
Your Song, excellent. I will tell you, we're going to do some suspense. I've still got 2 more to go. Your Song didn't make my top 5.
All right.
And that's great. And
Yeah. The song's unbelievable. I wouldn't
It's
say,
perfect.
but I wouldn't say like, are you kidding me? You didn't put that in your top 5 just because there's so many other good Elton John
I think
songs.
right. There's a million. Are you kidding me? I mean, just beautiful, beautiful lyrics. Some of Bernie's best work.
In Rocketman, I love that scene too, where he's sitting down at the family
yeah.
piano, and I just thought it was like a very cool scene because that was like when his family figured out they're like, wow, he's fucking amazing.
Yeah, and you turn your brain off for the like. Wait a second. This song came way later or whatever. Like,
yeah, I don't
again,
care.
It shows how little. This is not a detail-oriented movie. And if
Right.
you go in there thinking about details, then that's your problem. Yeah, Your Song, just beautiful, beautiful song. My number 2, Funeral for a Friend / Love Lies Bleeding. I think that Goodbye Yellow Brick Road is the best sequenced album ever, and that one leads it off. Just an 11-minute, 6-second triumph. So damn long.
Too long for me to put it in the top 5.
Been fortunate enough to see Elton a couple times. He'll open with it, and I love a song where the words don't come in until 6 minutes in.
It's absurd.
It's so good though. Like have you listened to that song?
Yes.
A lot? Yeah.
It's a Benny Big Balls move.
Right, exactly. I feel like even for a long song, like you don't skip it though, right?
No, I mean, but you have to. But it's like it's not a chore to listen to, but you have to like you have
like
to be like,
watching a
I'm
TV
going
show.
to listen to this song.
Exactly, and I would do that a lot when I used to work more set early hours where I'd get up in the morning, make breakfast, and then go to work. And I'd always put on either a record or an episode of a TV show or something. And if I didn't have enough time, I would put on Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, the album, and just listen to Funeral for a Friend, Love Lies Bleeding. 11 minutes, 6 seconds, in, out. And it's no song like touches every part of me like that song. I love it so much. I didn't get to put Philadelphia Freedom on this list. But what I love about a lot of Elton John songs are the backup vocals. They'd record the songs, and then at night he would either go out partying or he would go to bed or something, and his band would stay in the studio, get high, and just work on the background vocals. And some of the songs, the two that stand out to me are Funeral for a Friend, Love Lies Bleeding, or I guess the Love Lies Bleeding section of the song, and Philadelphia Freedom. They're just so creative, and you can tell when you find out later, like, this was done by high people goofing around. It's amazing. Second verse of Love Lies Bleeding, it has the, I wonder if those changes left a scar on you. And then there's a huge harmony, the, and they're doing all that shit. And then it goes from huge harmonies on ahs to unison, woo, which is such a 70s thing. You could see them, you can just imagine them with like the headphones only on one ear doing like, woo. And I just always imagine that. That song has great backup vocals, and also second verse of Philadelphia Freedom. So great. Great backup vocal song.
All right, number 1 for me, it's Tiny Dancer. That's the Elton John song for me.
How much has your appreciation grown for Tiny Dancer from the Mist Man?
The crazy thing is, not one bit.
That was already
not
your number
one bit. It was
Wow.
already my number 1. It was forever my number 1 after seeing Almost Famous. Like, Almost Famous made that song just completely iconic in my mind.
There were 2 perfect sing-along songs. And I'm saying, like, higher than I Want to Dance with Somebody, higher than some of the stupid Don't Stop Believin'. That's been too overdone, unfortunately. But I've always thought the 2 perfect sing-along songs are Tiny Dancer and I Believe I Can Fly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
he covered both of them.
There is one perfect sing-along song now, because we don't say that anymore.
That's true. That's true. But we can say that that Father John Misty's I Believe I Can Fly.
Whoa! I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Wow.
He covered
what a
both of
dummy
them.
I am. That's crazy. I never made that association.
Yeah.
And I've always, I think I've told this story. After my sister's wedding, we were all on a school bus going back to the hotel, and the school bus had like the little
walkie-talkie thing?
The walkie-talkie thing. And I was like, hey, can I see that? And I put on I Believe I Can Fly and played it into that. And the whole bus was going nuts, screaming I Believe I Can Fly.
It should feel like the what speaks to how good Tiny Dancer is, that we should be so sick of it by now. It should be it should be the Don't Stop Believing. Everybody approaches that with like the really, but we're not, and we're never going to be.
Never had that feeling.
Right.
That's such a good point. It's right. What sing-alongs don't get tiresome at some point?
Right. Like,
even
when you hear
I Want to Dance with Somebody, you're not always in the mood.
Right. And like every single time I hear the first couple of notes of Tiny Dancer, it's just like everything lights up inside me.
Hell yeah. A+ pick. We did this. We did, none of us had any repeats. We did our top 5s, and we're 10 songs total, because my number 1, Someone Saved My Life Tonight.
Okay.
That's
a wild number 1. That's an unexpected number 1.
It's one of my favorites. Elton John is near and dear to my heart for a million reasons, because he's the best and he's near and dear to all of our hearts. But whenever I would make the drive to and from college, for some reason I would always listen to Elton John, and I love Someone Saved My Life Tonight. I've heard these songs a million times, enough that I know I've noticed every little thing that you can notice. The sound of the regular piano with some electric piano lightly dusted over it, so amazing. The harmonies are great. It's got the dramatic "Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me" stuff with the dun 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 dun. So just an amazing, perfect song. And a fun moment in my life was out doing karaoke with some pals. It was winding down. All the kind of cool, fun stuff had happened. And then Patrick and I signed up to do Someone Saved My Life Tonight. I'd never done that song karaoke before. Who does that song karaoke? Right. And Patrick and I don't think either of us were drunk, just went nuts on it. I don't know if anybody was even left in the bar by the time it ended. But it was, when I think of Patrick, I think of a lot of great things, because he's the best. But that is, every now and then we'll be like, hey,
remember that
when
song?
we sang Someone Saved My Life Tonight? I absolutely love that song. Let's
My honorable
get into
mentions.
some honorable mentions.
I have Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. Mm-hmm. I love that song. Can You Feel the Love Tonight?
90s Elton, man. 90s Elton did not mess around.
Stopped.
Do you know the song The One? That's going to be an honorable mention for mine. It's certainly not one of my top 50 Elton Johns, but you'd know it. It's when stars collide like you and I, the shadows block the sun.
I haven't thought about that song in forever.
Same. I went through 90s Elton John yesterday.
Wow.
Dude, you want to hold on?
I totally forgot about that song.
Hold on. This is a long episode, folks. Sorry. Shut up. People ask for a 90-minute episode. I don't know.
I will say we just got our first the episode is officially late tweet.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Elton, this was 1992. It was probably his like 25th album, something like that.
Yeah, this song rules.
When I walked in, ooh, baby, you're the one. When I walked into work the other day, I was singing this song, and we all have secret handshakes at work.
Cool, man.
By we all, I have secret handshakes with 3 different people, and mine with Tom Giles is one of us goes to, like, puts the hand up or goes for a dap or something, and then we just hug each other instead. And I walked into work. I was singing it. Tom goes for a high five, so I walked in and I was like, when stars collide like you and I. It was the best.
Oh man,
it's
a good pick. I didn't expect to talk about that song.
I try to do that for honorable mentions because, I mean, the ones that just barely missed the cut for me are the regulars. Philadelphia Freedom. So
it's basically like a most
Levon.
underrated pick,
right? Just a couple of these weren't deep cuts. I mean, the one was that was a hit.
Right.
People forget that about Elton. I'm glad you brought up "Can You Feel the Love Tonight." He was still topping charts in 1992, 1993, 1994, 95, which I suppose Billy Joel still was. River of Dreams was 93. But by then, he was so nailing it in and quitting.
But, so in my lifetime, I remember Elton John being a star. And I was born in 1991, and, I remember him being a star, and I also remember coming up and coming to the realization that I missed, 80% of Elton John, and that he was a massive star before I even knew who he was.
Yeah, I give my mom a lot of credit for the way she raised me. At no point in my life did I ever think that Billy Joel was lame or that Elton John was fartsy, frumpy, whatever, just a couple of dumb piano guys. I have always thought Elton John was the friggin' coolest.
Well, I didn't, and I didn't not think that he was I didn't think that he was lame, but I didn't realize that he was as fucking cool as he
He's
was.
one of those old
He's
guys.
an old guy, and then I had to come to the realization that I have a lot of Elton John to catch up on because he fucking rules and has ruled for a long time.
Should we? Have you ever seen him?
No.
Damn it! Should we go?
Is he done? I thought that he was.
He's doing his farewell tour, and I made the executive decision that I'm not going to go because. Don't want to spend the money, and I've seen him enough times. But I want to see him with you now.
Okay, I'm down. Let's do it.
Okay, he's coming back in October. We'll get the tickets. And
by the way, I think are we going to Bon Iver in October?
I can't decide. We can live the sweet life.
Cannot believe that he's playing at the Garden.
I know.
Just cannot believe it.
We could do Sweet Life. We could try to get our tickets on sale yet.
I think so, yeah. Jeff said that he just got his. By the way, happy birthday, Jeff.
Oh, yes, today is Jeff's birthday.
Yes.
Oh, shoot, this is birthday month.
It is. This is birthday month for all of us.
We years to do this, and then we forgot to, and then Pardon My Take did it, and we just gave up on it. But what were we going to do? It was going to be pools, a lot of pools.
Yes, we were going to do the summer of birthdays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have some inconsequential birthdays coming up. What are you, 29?
28.
You're going to be 28?
Yep.
Nice. I'm going to be 31.
Ooh.
That is the
Yikes.
ultimate who cares? Nobody cares.
That's about done for me on Elton John. What else you got?
Yeah, I'll give Gray Seal a little bit of a shout-out for an honorable mention.
I guess I will mention Elton John is one of the only greatest hits albums that I own. Because
so much.
We share
33 albums.
We share thoughts on greatest hits album. It's just a lazy way to consuming music, and you shouldn't own them for most things. But Elton John, I felt great about it because just there's so much on there.
If you're on them, Hall & Oates is a group where I understand a lot of people are I'll just get the greatest hits, whatever. That's fine. But man, you go through Billy Joel's albums, and there's not much fat on that. You want to sink your teeth into them. But yeah, when a guy's put out 33 albums, whatever Elton's put out, again, crazy to me that in the same year, that's like some Beatles-esque shit. That's some Prince-esque shit. That in the same year, he put out 2 of his like seminal albums. That guy, just ridiculous. The best. Yeah, I'm glad we've decided. Elton John, I'll work on the tickets today or whatever in a couple months. Who cares? Let's get to Ma, which immediately was deemed by everyone who saw it. Bruntouchables, I thought it like 2/3 of the way through the movie. Perfect brunch movie.
Oh yeah,
Ridiculous, absurd movie. You can laugh with it. You can laugh at it. There's the shocking casting.
I don't understand. Like this
Octavia Spencer doesn't. I don't think she just stars in this movie. I think she like. I don't. She got whether it's
had
an
a hand
EP
in
or
it?
something. Yeah, she was like behind this movie.
Well, that's the only way that it makes sense that she's the lead role in this movie because she is so far above doing this movie. But by the way, she was great in it. She like her performance was really good.
Yes, that's what makes it so perplexing. So this was a ridiculous movie.
She wasted a. Can I say that she wasted a performance on this movie?
Here's the thing, though. I don't think that Octavia Spencer is capable of. She could have mailed it in, and I wouldn't know. She's We've never seen Octavia Spencer's floor. I think that her floor is like a 97, and she was like still like a 97 in this.
You're right. We should mention two Academy Award winning actresses in this movie. Her and Allison Janney. When Allison Janney came in this movie in like a bit role, I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Which is why the comparison I make is Don John. The 2 A-listers at, I don't know if Allison Janney's quite A-list, but like 2
she's
actors
an Academy Award winning
like,
actress.
The top of their fame decide, hey, let's do this absolutely absurd movie. Actually, Don John 3, because it's Joseph Gordon-Levitt, ScarJo, and the actress who I can never remember her name. This has plagued me my entire life.
Clearly at the top of her game, then.
I can never remember her name, and she's one of my favorite actresses. Still Alice. Wears a dress better than anybody?
Yeah.
Why can't I ever think of her name?
Julianne Moore.
Julianne Moore. I'm going to go to like a doctor about this. I can never think of
Brie
Julianne Moore.
Larson's in that movie, too.
In Don John?
Yeah, apparently.
What is wrong? She's the little sister.
Okay.
What is wrong with people that they all did that terrible movie? They were all like, hey, we're doing really well. Let's do a weird movie about masturbating.
Also, the mother in Ma was like a star back in the day.
Oh, that's what's-her-face?
Juliette Lewis.
Juliette Lewis, yeah. She was in everything. She was in every comedy.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really sorry. Old school.
Yes. So, I mean, a ridiculous movie. I loved it. Just like I would highly recommend just going for just the spectacle of it.
Yes.
I will tell you, it was the best theater going experience that I've had in a long time just because the crowd in attendance was all on board of just like absolutely making fun of this movie. Yes, they were laughing at the jokes.
We were laughing.
They were laughing at the jokes. They were openly mocking some of the stupider things on screen, like pointing and laughing and not being quiet or subtle about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was just a party in there. It was so much fun.
So we had a couple. There was one girl that was like, oh, come on. She's like, come on.
There's a scene where Ma runs over a character with her car, which is like a
smokes her.
Yeah, just a crazy over the top death scene. And when that happened, there was just a guy in my theater who was like, "Ha! Are you kidding?"
This movie is 100 minutes, I believe, right?
Sure. Right? Yeah, it's like an hour and a half, I think.
Like a little more than an hour and a half. And the first hour and 10, I would say, is weird, and you're kind of waiting for a reveal and for stuff to start happening. And boy, once the reveal comes and once the stuff starts happening, buckle up because it is not slowing down. Kellen was watching it, and he tweeted, like, an hour into Ma, and what the hell am I watching? And I was like, boy, you are about to find out.
I had that feeling about 10 minutes into the movie. about 10 or 15 into the...
And it never
minutes-
quells, and it never subsides until it gets to the last part.
This is going to be one of those movies that we're going to be talking spoiler alerts
big time.
because you just can't do it. And I'm sure that a lot of people who are listening to this podcast don't plan on seeing Ma, and they're coming for the spoilers. They're coming to hear us take our takes on it. It's just one of those movies.
Okay, short summary. A group of high schoolers ask a woman to buy them alcohol. She does, and then she keeps buying them alcohol and lets them party in her basement. And then, but something is up with this woman.
Yes.
What's going on? And there's something maybe going on with the families, and you're like, this is all tied together, but how is it? And then you're waiting for a huge reveal, and it is the most shocking it's the most shocking thing on which to base a movie I've ever seen.
Yes.
Would you agree?
Yes, it's ridiculous.
Can we...
Wait, hold on. Look, so the first point where they realize, hey, something might be up with this lady who invited us to her house, a grown adult who wants high schoolers partying in her basement. The first point where they realize, hey, something might be up with this lady is when she forces one of the children to get naked at gunpoint.
She pulls a gun on them like immediately.
That's what I said. Like 15 minutes into the movie, she forces a teenage kid to get naked at gunpoint, and then is like, "Ha, gotcha!"
Just
and all the
kidding.
friends are like, "Ha,
Duh.
good joke."
Whoop. Yeah. She lures them into her basement with such ease.
Oh yeah,
All she does is say like, "Hey, you want to come in the basement?" And they're like, "Yes."
like those kids are degenerate alcoholics at like 16 or 17 years old because they are just going into strangers' basements just so that they can get drunk.
Yeah. So she is, once she deals with them for the first time, she starts to look them up on Facebook. She starts to do a little social media stalking. And there is a great scene that I cannot wait to turn into a meme. I don't know if we had to wait for the movie to come out, if we had to go back to the movie theater, take a picture of the screen, but they're all talking about their plans for the weekend at school, and around the corner, Ma is standing there listening and grinning, and the screen is literally split in half. Left side, Ma listening in and grinning. Right side, kids standing around talking. I cannot wait to make that a thing where you just put in something else on the right side. Or you could put a screen grab of a tweet there. You could put anything. That is for sure going to be a
good
meme.
idea.
And it happens later in the movie too. Ma is talking to Juliette Lewis, and the daughter Maggie is standing around the corner.
There's a lot of listening
but
behind
concerned.
walls.
Huge listening around corner movie. So let's see. Yeah, she pulls a gun on him. But I will say, he was being very weird leading up to the gun being
kid
pulled.
sucks.
He was being so odd. He was like, "Hey, wait, Ma, what are you, not cool? Because if you're not cool, you're lame." And it's a character I've never seen anybody behave like that. Especially a stranger old woman he's just met.
Yes,
the
and,
most unbelievable character I've ever seen in my life, including Ma.
his name is perfect both in the movie and in real life. Chaz.
Oh, Chaz.
Chaz in the movie and in real life, Johnny Paulo.
Ah, man.
So I also had to look it up. The main character, the actress, the young girl, Maggie.
Yeah.
Very hot.
She was clearly an adult.
22.
Like 20, 25?
22.
What? Okay.
Close enough.
Yeah.
She's very hot.
Pretty girl.
Not creepy enough to overshadow Ma wanting to have sex with all the teenagers in this movie.
Yes. Ma does a lot of advances on them. It was like Ma also does a walk away face change, which if you listen to this podcast, I'm a huge fan of. She tells them all that she has cancer. And she's been being crazy. She's been drugging them. She's been stealing their stuff.
They canceled her. They canceled her. They're like, just delete Ma from your phone. She's too crazy.
Right. She's crazy. Call me old fashioned. I hate being drugged and getting my stuff stolen. Let's not hang out with her anymore.
Hate being drugged, get my stuff stolen. Hate being forced to get naked at gunpoint.
Right.
Hate when this adult woman basically like creeps in on my relationship and is staring at me. And
at
then
some point, enough's enough.
Yes.
So she calls them all together. She says, "I'm very sorry. Can we all meet? There's something I have to tell you." And she tells them that she has cancer. Really Ma does a lot of terrible things in this movie.
That's probably the
but
worst.
Playing the fake "I have cancer" card, that would be like a headline in its own right, and that's just like an afterthought in this movie with some of the stuff that's pulled.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say probably the worst, but she also commits murder.
Right. After she tells them that, she walks away. She's been crying as she tells them that. As she walks away, total face change into serious.
It's like they got him.
Great shot.
Yeah.
You know, for just I don't want to call this movie terrible because like I know it was.
It for sure is terrible, but
I don't want to discredit it from being a ride.
So I've described it already as hilarious and terrible.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Very glad I saw it.
Absolutely. My favorite character in this movie is the girl who's just passed out all the time and like comes to consciousness and then immediately goes back to being passed out.
She she doesn't drink, so she goes to parties and she lies down on the couch so nobody pressures her into drinking. Not a bad move.
I love it.
To be honest. Maybe you're trying to watching your figure, don't want to drink too much alcohol on a given weekend. You can just go out. You just got to pretend you passed out.
And she has a really strong peak at the end of the movie in the final scene.
Oh yeah.
Where I don't want to spoil it, but she is pretending to be she is passed out, and then she comes to and then pretends to be passed out.
Yes.
It's really great.
Let's get to the twist and why she's doing this, why she wants to hang out with them, what the relation is to the kids' families. It's building up towards something, and you don't quite know what it is. Something
a lot of
horrible
flashbacks.
Happened. There's some flashbacks,
intermittent flashbacks
here and there, and one by one you realize, like, okay, this person is this grown-up person. This young person was this grown-up person. What had happened was
it's a revenge tale.
A bunch of kids tricked her into giving a blowjob to
a stranger,
the wrong person.
Yes. Yeah, it's this entire Ma goes crazy because she once gave a blowjob,
which is, on one hand, you're like, that is like people should have been arrested for that. That is
it's a horrific thing to do to somebody.
That is like a potential life ruining thing. But just the fact that the build up to this very, very serious thing, and the punchline was blowjob. It's like, oh.
Yes.
I should have known with this stupid movie. It was about a blowjob.
That's for sure a traumatic thing that would stick with somebody for the rest of their lives, and maybe have like some deep rooted personal trust issues or romantic issues.
But the fact that it led to I'm going to kill all of their kids when they grow up.
Yes, yeah. That it's like it drove this person to be a murderer, and not only like murder the people that did it to her, but murder children that have nothing to do with it.
Including her own daughter. There's no explanation there.
No.
Oh, and actually, there is. She doesn't let her daughter go to school. She tells her that she's sick. She sedates her a lot to make her daughter think that she's sick and
that she belongs
unwell.
in a wheelchair.
She belongs in a wheelchair. As I say this now, she's got some sort of fear of school and high schoolers, and she's guarding her child from going through something like that. But she also just kills other people that have nothing to do with it. She kills her boss, Allison Janney. Now you might ask, why does she kill her boss? What would lead her to kill her boss? Part of it is she is the worst employee ever. She's a vet, and she doesn't do anything for the animals. She does not prep them. Well, she doesn't shave them. She's on her phone the whole time. She is as awful an employee as has ever been portrayed in film.
Yes, and Allison Janney, in the first scene that they have together, she just lets her go early. Like she's like, just go home. You're on your phone all the time. Just go home. I don't need you.
Yeah.
And so that just tells you the worst employee ever. And God bless Allison Janney. She did not deserve her fate, both in real life, being in this movie, and in the movie where she just gets killed brutally.
Allison Janney was one of the people who maybe could have seen some signs that something's up with Ma. There were other characters, let's call them all of the main characters,
yes,
that could have noticed, or that did notice, as the movie was going on, Ma is an unstable person, a violent person, a dangerous person. So what are we going to do about this? If you like scenes in which someone says to a criminal, if you don't quit doing this, I'm going to do what I should currently be doing, which is contacting the police. There are so many scenes. The kids, the parents. There's one where one of the parents meets with her, gets in her face.
I loved
and he's
that
like,
scene.
I should have called the police by now, but for some reason I haven't. If you don't knock this off, I'm going to give you one more warning, and then I'm going to call... No, he threatens to kill her. He says, I'll kill you.
No, he said, I'll take care of it myself. So the police is just not an option for this guy.
I am promising you, no matter what you do, I am not going to the police. You got it? So this is going to shock you. The next time they see each other is when Ma lures him there to kill him.
Yes. I love the fact that scene was great. I did not see the twist coming because everybody in this movie is so fucking stupid.
They are so
that like
rough.
when one guy was actually smart and was like, yo, I know what's going on here and something's fucked up. I was shocked, just absolutely perplexed that somebody was smart enough to figure out that, hey, maybe Ma has some issues.
Yeah. He notices it. The kids notice it. Juliette Lewis notices it. And there's just no effort at any point. So much so that when Ma lures all the kids to the house for the big killing that she's going to do on all of them, the mother, Juliette Lewis, realizes that this is going on, so she gets on her phone and she calls
Not
a
the
coworker.
police. Yes. The police are so underworked in this town.
People who are like, hey, we shouldn't have police, we should govern ourselves. This is a movie you might want to check out. This is what happens when the police is never involved in anything.
To be fair, there are 2 police scenes in this movie. The first one results in the police officer not doing his job because he doesn't like the kid's dad. He's like, I played football with your dad in high school.
Right.
A real dick. So
that's right. That's the only time the police... Yes.
So I'm not going to bust you. And then...
Maybe he gives up on the police.
Then the second time the police are called, dead. Just shot dead immediately.
Oh,
so
that's right.
0% effectiveness from the police in this movie. So that explains it.
She does specific things to the kids and the parents because of things that she has in her brain, such as... the guy that was the ringleader of the blowjob trick.
Yes.
She says she kills. She doesn't kill. She takes blood from Maggie, the main character's dog. Slits the ringleader of the blowjob's wrists, lets him bleed out while pumping dog blood into him because she says you're a dog. And I was like, you haven't been saying that the whole movie. You're just forcing this because you want this like walk off. Well, you are just a dog thing. So she's doing specific things to these kids because of certain connections that she has.
Also, no character in a movie has ever looked less like his flashback character than this dad and the little kid that plays him.
Right. That guy's in stuff, by the way. I forget what he's in.
He's in a lot of stuff. He's very, very handsome.
Super handsome.
Very like rugged. He was in you know who he was in? The Girl on the Train.
Oh, really?
He was like the potentially abusive husband.
Oh.
So
he looks like a guy who could be a bad guy.
Oh yeah. We get to see his flaccid dick in this movie.
Oh, right. So she's doing stuff to them based on what how she was wronged or how they wronged her in the past. But there's a kid in their group who I don't think has any whose parents I don't think have any connection to them. And the specific thing that she does to him is she paints his face white because he's black. So she just randomly does like a hate crime.
Well, she's like, there's only room for one of us in this crew. There's only room for one token black guy.
I'm like, whoa, what are you doing?
Well, I wrote down in my notes, I said, that kid got off super easy. Because
she doesn't kill him.
every
she's
other one of the
randomly
friends.
super mean to some kid with whom she has no connection.
Right, but I mean, in comparison, relative to what happens to his friends, one of the girls gets her lips sewn shut.
Yeah.
One of the kids literally gets stabbed. Mm-hmm. Another one gets a hot iron to the chest that's going to scar for life. And then
the last one's going to be hanged.
The last one's going to be hanged. So, relatively speaking, getting a little pain on your face, not the worst.
I would say it's in the bottom two, not too far behind the lips though. The lips, she definitely got off easy.
What?
Compared to
she had her lips sewn shut.
You can't snip them. You can't get plastic surgery. That's a super easy fix.
Plastic surgery for what? You probably get scars.
So you get plastic surgery.
New lips?
No, she didn't sew through the lips.
She sewed above the lips, I
Yeah.
guess.
Right, she sewed her lips shut by. Yeah, you can just fleece that out.
She'll grow a mustache. She'll be
Right.
fine.
You can just scrub that right out. The other one, like if the paint got in the eyes or if the paint got in the mouth, that could have killed him.
You know that it was lead-based paint?
Yes, she took it out of a can.
It's not necessarily. You can eat some paint.
What's she working with Crayola? You think?
Yeah.
I don't think so. That was some house paint.
All right. Well, I mean, I think that if I had to pick,
Oh, he definitely got the easiest of them.
Yes.
But I'm saying he did absolutely nothing to her, and he was really nice to her.
none of them really did anything to her.
That girl was pretty.
The girl
mean.
was
the other
rude.
girl was very, very rude.
She was rude, but you know what? She wasn't like on the scale of like rudeness in teenage kid movies.
Yeah.
Pretty polite.
What did you think of some of the party scenes? Because she would throw parties with them and she would play music for them, such as, like what current 17 or 16-year-olds, that's how old they are, what current 16-year-olds like, Funky Town.
Yes.
Big party scene set to Funky Town.
Yeah. Octavia Spencer for sure had the aux cord.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. She does a lot of things with... She does a lot of things with pictures. She prints out pictures of
Didn't
the
get
kids,
that.
puts them, inserts her into them and everything. Like, this is a person who does not have Photoshop.
Oh yeah, no Photoshop. She cuts them out, pastes them. Terrible cut and paste jobs too, by the way. And when they at one point they infiltrate the house and go into her bedroom, and there's just pictures all over the bedroom, just completely on the mirror, on the bureau, on the bed, just pictures of these children, which I don't know how she gets them.
I know.
And
then prints them. That's so
and
weird.
prints
They're
them and then like
cell phone
leaves
pictures
them
she's
scattered all over her bedroom. And at that point, the kids are not like, wow, like we should continue to hang around this person.
printing. Who is your favorite character in this movie?
Again, I think it's the girl who passes out.
Yeah, she's a good contender. My favorite, other woman getting a pedicure.
Oh yeah, there's just like a random spat at a pedicure place, and that lady was
And
real sassy.
This is really as Ma is ramping up the. I am a homicidal person.
I'm a bad bitch.
I'm someone who's going to kill people.
Yes.
And there is this woman in the pedicure place who, for some reason, is really mean to Ma. They get in a little spat, and then the woman says to her, in a way I've never heard these two words said, "You bitch." She said, "You bitch." It's like I've heard you bish. I've heard like you bitch. You've heard that. I've said this on the podcast. I'm very weird with that word. I don't like that word for some reason. For some reason, it's a bad word. But the way she says "you bitch," just like no inflection on it, just like I think you are a bitch.
That got a hearty laugh from the theater.
Huge laugh out loud from me. Great performance.
I think the most tense moment of the movie came when there was the impending threat of Octavia Spencer chopping off a dick.
Oh yeah.
The whole theater was on pins and needles waiting for her to cut off the dick. And like she was such a wild card in that movie that it was not out of the question.
I will say
didn't ultimately happen, but oh boy, everybody was really tense.
I have never been a fart joke person, never been a poop joke person. Really not like a huge sex joke person because sex is already
A joke for you.
Yes, right. Sex. I already view sex as a jokey thing, but I do like if there's dick violence going on, that gets my attention.
It gets my attention, especially when you include the dick. Like
Right.
that would not have been as effective had they not shown Octavia Spencer just grabbing that all flaccid penis and put a knife up to it. It was really, really explicit.
Yeah, I don't know how I would feel if was he relieved that he immediately goes from thinking his dick might get cut off to okay, she's just gonna slit my wrist and have me bleed out?
Yeah, I think that's like the more appealing alternative there.
I would agree. I can't even. I think I'm rewatching The Sopranos, and these kids go into a crack house and they shoot it up, and I'm pretty sure they shoot a guy in the dick. And
Oh yeah,
I'm like, oh my god.
the first shot goes into the dick.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And he's like limping. They're helping him off, and the guy's like, "I told you, crack is bad," or something like that. Just horrifying. Also, as I'm watching Sopranos, I made this point yesterday on Twitter. They do so many bad things in that movie, but for some reason, the other old women being mean to Paulie's mom in the nursing home
cut so deep.
I'm like, man, I could be
Because
so, and then
you know what the reason is because like if you're in a nursing home, you want the rest of your days to be as good as possible.
because they're already going to be pretty bad.
Right. They're going to be bad, and you're going to die soon. So if the other people, if you're getting bullied in a nursing home, that's a terrible situation.
In the worst place, yeah. It's like just take it, just take me already. Any other thoughts on Ma?
Just
Again, just the most shocking reveal, just the most shocking basis for a movie I've ever found.
Yeah, and like just so many things that I didn't fully comprehend, but didn't want to expend enough energy trying to wrap my head around them. I was just kind of completely taking this movie at face value,
right? And
it was just a complete piece of shit that was totally worth my time.
I mean, and we've seen the Bye Bye Man, right? Like we've seen bad movies that are hilariously bad, but also you don't want to see them again. That's what I would say the Bye Bye Man is. That was like the worst use of time ever.
I would watch this movie again.
I would watch. I could do like yearly screenings of Ma, like The Disaster Artist.
Yes.
Except instead of having to watch a bunch of terrible actors, I'm legitimately watching good actors make the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest takeaway for me is that just like, not how did this movie get made, because a lot of shitty movie gets made, but like how did this movie get such strong, prominent backing?
Right. Well, that's why it's unique. You get to see a bad movie, because we like watching bad movies and talking about them, but this was a bad movie that like one of our favorite people made. We get to watch a bad movie. Not only do you get to watch a bad movie and laugh along at it, you're watching Octavia Spencer just run shit.
Right, and it's not like a case of something going wrong along the way. Mm-hmm. This movie had to be just as ridiculous on paper.
Yes.
So like the script, you could have read the script and been like, you can't make this movie.
They were
you can't do this.
Do you think it was tongue-in-cheek enough that they knew that they were making a ridiculous movie?
Maybe,
I think
but
partially. But between Chaz's character, the other girl's character, and again, just the premise that it's about someone had to
but that's
give
what makes it so confusing is that you have two Academy Award-winning actresses. They don't need to be doing this ridiculous movie.
And I'm so grateful for them that they did.
I am too. Like, thank you so much.
You gave us content. One last bit of content. My friend in a group text brought this up, and this is a crazy phenomenon. You may have seen it. I was going to text you about it, but I figured I'd say it for the podcast. My friend asked in a group text, hey, conversation we're currently having, assuming there's no meat in either, and it's just cheese, the pasta, and the sauce, and whatever else is in it, which do you prefer, lasagna or baked ziti? The group text, I think, was 50-50. And we were both going back and forth, and we all agreed whichever one we preferred. We just barely had a preference. It was like 51-49 in our brain. So I put a poll out on Twitter with over
like 2,000 votes.
With over a couple thousand votes, 50-50. Crazy.
That's extremely hard.
Where do you fall?
For me, it's somewhat easy, and
you're gonna go bake ziti.
I'm gonna go bake ziti because. When I'm doing pasta, when I'm doing those sort of things on the Italian spectrum,
comfort food, maybe is that what that would be called?
Yeah, I don't necessarily need meat. I think that it can add to the equation, but you can have a great bowl of pasta without meat.
Somebody made that point. They said if it's no meat, then baked ziti, because baked ziti without meat is still 100 out of 100.
Right.
Whereas, I mean, lasagna without meat is still
it can be 100 out of 100, but like I think that meat.
But lasagna with meat is probably better than baked ziti without meat. Or baked ziti. Like if both have meat, I'm probably going lasagna.
Probably.
If both are meatless, I'm probably going baked ziti.
Yeah, I just think that without meat, you're probably sacrificing more on the lasagna than you are on the ziti.
And here's. I barely gave the edge to lasagna, but I also considered baked ziti might be one of the best eat while you're reheating. Eat
Oh,
cold
yes.
while you're reheating it.
Yes.
Food ever. As
Hell
you're
yeah.
reheating baked ziti in the microwave, you still have like 3 of the whatever spoon you use to scoop. You still have like 3 spoonfuls cold as you're reheating the rest of it.
Yes.
And then by the time it's ready, you've already had a ton of baked ziti, but it didn't count because your food hadn't heated up.
Also, there's not much more satisfying experience than like cutting through a baked ziti or like breaking the shell of a baked ziti and then like eating it, where part of it's like crunchy and part of it is like the smooth sauce. Like,
Yeah.
the experience of eating baked ziti finish to end is amazing.
I will say though, like lasagna should also get some
Finish to
love.
end, beginning to end.
Lasagna should also get some love cold, because when it's cold and the ricotta is kind of hardened, that is amazing. I very badly need the Bruins to not go 7 games because I leave for a trip to Charleston next week, the day of Game 7, and if the Bruins go 7 games, then I'm going to have to push back my flight a day, and I don't want to do that because then I would miss the grocery store trip, and if I miss the grocery store trip, what's even the point? I love it. But this conversation has got us thinking. We're going to have, the last bachelor party I went on, someone brought some trays of lasagna, and we went out for every meal, but we still just had lasagna sitting around the house for whenever, and we're going to do that. We're going to have just some cold ziti or lasagna sitting around. It's going to be the best thing in the world. Can't wait. Also, happy Pride, everybody.
Happy Pride! Can't wait for the parade this weekend. It's going to be a blast. If you want to, we're going to be there. So
Don't
if you
know if you want to meet up.
No, if you want to meet up, I was going to say we're going to be there. So if you want to meet up, too bad. We're going to be
you want
having
to meet
fun.
up, find some friends, meet up with them.
But yeah, have fun. Go. It's going to be great. I have no idea what to expect, but I'm very,
never
very
been
excited.
Before. It's always fallen on my birthday weekend, and I don't go out for my birthday. So because I don't go out for my birthday, I just generally stay in the weekend of my birthday, and as a result of that, I
don't do anything.
Missed Pride.
Yes.
Right, I don't do anything, so I've missed Pride. But this year, I am finally going to do it, and I'm very excited to see what I've missed.
Also, Bon Iver, I'm on to you. Releasing a song called "Hey Ma" in the week that we talk about Ma. So
Hey.
stop trying to steal that clout.